Starting in 1947, when the British left India, the Punjab, the Sikh spiritual homeland, has been split in two. The Punjab, the Sikh spiritual homeland, has been split in two partitions in order to accommodate a Muslim homeland. Part of Punjab, including the city of Lahore, now belongs to Pakistan. The rest of Punjab, including Amritsar and the Golden Temple, is still part of India.
After the second, unwarranted partition of Punjab to form Haryana, by which several thousand Punjab villages were unjustly annexed, Punjab again lost its capital city. The already shrunken Punjab was further being lopped in half to form a Hindi-speaking state, Haryana, which nobody had asked for. Furthermore, when the Indian constitution was drafted, Sikhs, along with Buddhists and Jains, were categorized as Hindus. The Sikhs were deeply offended by this and saw it as a refusal by Congress to recognize the independence of their religion. To understand the demands of 1984, it is best to explore the demands of the agitation. The demands were not to be discriminatory against Hindus, nor to be considered as separatist, as the Indian government propagated and maintained. The demands of the current agitation were based on the so-called Anandpur Resolution. In essence, the resolution demanded greater autonomy for Punjab.
Sant Jarnail Singh Bhindranwala. Sant Bhindranwala is a holy man, asserting the truths of the faith. What his supporters talk of is an independent Sikh state to be called Khalistan.
And the government fears start the disintegration of India as a federal nation. I have never, he said, initiated any attack with my tongue, or my pen, or with my sword. I only answer back or retaliate to actions initiated by the enemies of the Sikhs.
After 2 years of protest and demonstrations in the northern province of Punjab by militant Sikhs demanding an independent state, the government's patience finally snapped.
In 1975, she was convicted of election law violations and responded by declaring a state of emergency. She clamped down on civil rights, imposed censorship, and ordered involuntary sterilizations. Then she rewrote the Constitution to make it all legal.
Mrs. Gandhi sent tens of thousands of soldiers into the Punjab for a showdown with Bhindranwala. Sikh fighters prepared their defenses.
The Indian army invaded the temple. They killed 700 innocent pilgrims to the shrine.
6 days ago, Mrs. Gandhi sent tens of thousands of soldiers into the Punjab.
Some say Mrs. Gandhi is only exploiting this crisis as she's done with others for years.
Indira Gandhi ordered the Indian army to attack the Sikhs' holiest shrine, known around the world as the Golden Temple. Thousands of innocent Sikh pilgrims were massacred.
Details are filtering out to the West slowly because of the Indian government's news blackout, but it's now known about 250 Sikhs died in the battle.
Some reports now say as many as 500 people were killed.
And police reports today now put the number of dead at 700.
Assault on the Golden Temple in Amritsar could climb as high as 2,000. They say authorities have already cremated the bodies of more than 800. More bodies are being pulled from the Holy Lake.
Beef and Army units raided a total of 44 Sikh shrines.
The head seat of authority, the Akal Takht Sahib, was bombarded. The Golden Temple, which used to be a place of worship where there would be hymn singing 24 hours a day, is now full of blood and bodies.
And the Akal Takht, equivalent to the Vatican or Mecca, completely destroyed by tank and mortar fire.
The outside world receives a biased, one-side view of what goes on in Punjab because the Indian government has control over most of the domestic media. This contributes to the stereotype that all Sikhs are extremist radicals who are terrorizing the predominantly Hindu nation, and that is just not the fact. If the Indian government has nothing to hide, it should remove the news blackout and permit outsiders into Punjab. The free flow of information is essential to the preservation of rights and liberties in a democratic society, and India claims to be the world's largest democracy. So they should act as the world's largest democracy. This is the foundation for a democratic nation, and it is not too much to ask of India to respect the rights of all its people, not just the Hindu majority. It is not right for any government to deny 16 million of its own people their basic political and civil rights. India has a moral obligation to protect the Sikh community.
Completely destroyed by tank and mortar fire.
Protest came immediately from the largest community outside India, some of the 100,000 Sikhs in Britain. They gathered outside the Indian High Commission in London this afternoon, provoked by the news from Amritsar to shouts of, "Mrs. Gandhi is a murderer."
Today is a black day for the government of India. It's indeed a painful moment for the Sikh nation. They have attacked the holiest shrines of the Sikhs, Sri Harmandir Sahib.
Tank fire ravages the sacred Akal Takht.
Completely destroyed by tank and mortar fire.
The government has censored newspapers there in part to shield Sikhs from the news of violence being done to their fellow Sikhs elsewhere in the country.
Completely destroyed by tank